Welcome to
Back to Flour. Good morning, Lena.
Good morning, Arno.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. What about you?
I'm very great, and I'm very curious to know what you're going to speak about today.
So today I want to speak about a critical component, critical characteristic of wheat flour, which is gelatinization.
Gelatinization?
Yeah, viscosity, gelatinization of the starch.
Wow, starch again.
Yeah, starch again. We have been speaking a lot about starch, damaged starch, starch retrogradation.
Yes.
We'll come back to that. But definitely.
So now, viscosity.
Viscosity. So viscosity of the starch is the fact that when you get the starch viscous, the idea is to create a gel.
Okay.
So to do that, you need two things. You need heat. You need temperature and you need water.
Okay.
When you put starch in contact with water and you heat that, you will create a gel.
Okay.
So this is actually a very, you can see that very easily when you do a bechamel, for instance.
A bechamel?
Yeah.
That's a sauce.
Yeah, that's a sauce, but it's actually a very, I don't know. Okay.
okay. That becomes thick. Okay.
Yeah, that becomes thick. That's the idea. And the idea of that is the idea of creating a gel will impact a lot the baking products.
Okay.
How?
I see that. In fact, if we think about what you are telling us, you said two things. You said water and you said temperature. Water, we are putting water in all these products.
Yes.
In some of them, we are putting low amount of water. In other ones, we are putting more water. So we have a dough with a certain amount of water. And then you said heat.
Yes.
The only moment we are going to have heat in the baking process is when we are baking the product, when we are putting that into the oven. And that's a very interesting moment because we spoke about gluten in another video. When we are heating the product, the gluten tends to be weakened. And because we are changing the shape of the gluten. But at the same time, almost, the starch is becoming more and more viscous.
Yeah, so it actually supports the texture.
Exactly, and this viscosity will be responsible for the shape of all the product. We see that. It will be responsible for the size of the alveoles. It will be responsible of the crumb structure, of the volume. It will impact all the product we have here. We have to remind they are made of 70% of starch.
That's right.
And the viscosity has been impacting all the characteristics we are seeing here. So it's a very important parameter. And for measuring it, we have different ways. Traditional ways are using a batter, a very liquid dough.
That's right.
Okay, except for this type of product where we are using a batter,
liquid dough.
But all of them we are using less hydrated dough, which means that the viscosity of the starch will be limited.
Oh, all right. So
and my question is, how can we measure the starch viscous property in a dough system?
Oh, so that's a good question, and we have the perfect instrument to do that.
Show me?
Yeah, come with me.
Let's go. Okay, we have been speaking just right now about the impact of the viscosity, the starch viscosity on all these many products, and we see that there is a lot of impact. But remember, to see starch viscosity, you need two things. You need water and you need heating. You need temperature increase. So all these tools here, they are telling us a lot of information on the dough before heating. But when it's heating, what is happening? We cannot know that with this tool. We need to find another way. Lena is going to show us.
Viscosity, as mentioned, has a critical impact on many aspects of the final product, and the best way, the only way really to measure viscosity is with the MixerLab. So the MixerLab is an instrument that is creating a dough system. So you add flour, you add water into the dough, and you create a dough, and you see how this dough reacts to various constraints. First mixing, and then we start heating the dough, and we heat the dough, we can see the starch gelatinization in zone 3. So its intensity, when it appears, at what temperature exactly. So that's definitely the best solution to understand the impact of starch viscosity on your production. If you want also to be more to be closer to real life, you can take a piece of dough directly from production line and place it into the mixer lab and see how viscosity is affected by all the other ingredients in your recipe and by your process. If you want to learn more about this important characteristic or about one of these delicious products here, you can visit our website.